There's one thing I feel confident in saying is that when everybody plays, we lose. People need, they really need to stop thinking. If you want to say, oh, MBG's a PlayStation fanboy, I mean, geez. Yeah, we care about exclusives. They're pretty important to us. I'm a Sony bootlicker, and I'll defend anything they do.
Who the hell are you?
You know. You all know exactly who I am. Say my name.
Rambling entertained.
You're goddamn right.
Oh, Jesus. What do you got in there? Cinder blocks?
Nope. What I got here is pure pony salt. Look, this is pretty simple. With Mrs. being in my head, used to pull up with a meat as fuck video, Griffin falling asleep in some streams, everybody else being meat as fuck, Alex perfect in some chat, and me being the best thing of the time is stream.
Hilarious! Rambling entertained. This is the greatest stream ever.
I asked myself, why am I waiting for these guys when I could be creating my own salt? I'm already on Twitter. I'm collecting blocks like Thanos collecting Infinity Stones from the ponies. All I needed was to get the formula right, and obviously I think I got it, otherwise I wouldn't be making this video. So I took to the Twitter streets, and holy shit! So it turns out, Arcane has confirmed that Redfall was originally in development for PS5, and Microsoft canned that shit, as the ponies lost their fucking minds! Even babyface MBG. No! Making a stream for 3 hours, mouthing just because Microsoft made an IP that they own exclusive to the Xbox. And it was glorious.
It's not the fact that not Starfield, but Redfall. It's not the fact that it's a new IP. And I don't even know that it's the fact that it's going to be an Xbox exclusive, but we need to acknowledge something here, that a lot of Xbox fanboys, or just Xbox enthusiasts who have been really ragging on Sony for a long time and what Sony does and how they operate PlayStation. A lot of Xbox fans who've kind of been eating up the things that Phil Spencer and Xbox's marketing team say. We need to address that we are seeing something come out here that paints a very clear picture, a crystal clear picture.
And what clear picture is that, MBG?
This paints such a clear picture, an undeniable truth, that we, as a gaming community, not just PlayStation fans, not just Xbox fans, Nintendo fans, whatever, as a gaming community, we have to accept this truth. And my hope is that this makes it so that the amount of people that fall for, frankly, the bullshit that Microsoft puts forth, and they take that and they weaponize it and they use it against PlayStation or their fans. I'm hoping that after we go over this, that will happen a lot less, because we need to just set the record straight here.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. The record that you want to set is that billion-dollar corporation Sony is unfairly labeled as anti-consumer by the Xbox fanboys. And as recent event shows, that's going to be a really hard sell, my man, as Sony pushes unfinished products while lying to the consumers, whether it is on PC or PlayStation. Sony is very much anti-consumer. But as someone that runs a PlayStation-centric channel, I'm sure you're going to be able to prove otherwise, right? You're not just going to deflect to what the other side does, right? Right? Nah, what would you? I mean...
Arcane has confirmed that Redfall was originally in development for PS5, but plans changed when Microsoft acquired the studio's owner. Arcane has said that Redfall was originally in development for PS5 as well as the Xbox Series consoles and PC. While perhaps unsurprising, Arcane Austin studio director Harvey Smith has now confirmed that plans for a PlayStation release were cancelled after Microsoft acquired Bethesda's parent company ZeniMax Media. We were acquired by Microsoft, and it was a change with capital C, he told IGN France. They came in and they said, no PlayStation 5. We're focusing on Xbox, PC, and Game Pass. Development of Redfall had started 1 year prior to the $7.5 billion acquisition. It's not very serious. It's even a good decision, I think, Smith said, of dropping the PS5 version. It helps support Game Pass and have one less platform to worry about, one less complexity. He added Game Pass has a ton of players. It could become our biggest game thanks to 30 million, or I can't remember the exact number of subscribers.
Well, shit, I guess you are. Look, Microsoft bought a publisher, and they made all of the upcoming games exclusive to the Xbox environment. This is no different than what Sony did with Insomnia, just at a larger scale. It makes sense. Microsoft has more money.
Number one, what we are learning is that there was, in fact, a PS5 version of Redfall that was in active development, alongside the version that's coming out for Xbox and PC. Microsoft bought Bethesda, and they come in and they say, yeah, so you're going to cancel that version. Okay, so here's what happened. Microsoft exchanged money and in turn got a game that is now exclusive to their platform. And the way that they made it exclusive to their platform was by canceling the development of the version that was in development for their rival console. Okay?
But you thought that those games were going to come out of nowhere? Of course they were already in development. They just weren't announced yet until Microsoft bought them. But where are you going with this?
I don't think I need to explain to people what's wrong here. And no, before anybody assumes that, well, there's nothing wrong with exclusivity, MBG, especially if they're buying to own. You're correct. I have no problem, nor have I ever had a problem with exclusivity. In fact, I would argue that exclusivity is, I don't want to say necessarily the lifeblood of the industry, but exclusivity is something that simply will never go away.
No shit, you will sound very hypocritical if you do. Not just do you celebrate first-party exclusive, but third-party exclusive as well, which is what people have problems with. As for exclusive being the blood of the industry, exclusives only serve to force gamers into your platform. Be it a subscription service, a console, or a storefront, which is why third-party exclusives have always been such a problem.
The problem here is that what we are learning from this director at Arcane seems to go completely against almost everything that Microsoft has said, the things that they preach, just the entire energy that Microsoft exudes or has attempted to exude and put forth. This goes completely against it. And I also want it to be known that this director is coming out here and acknowledging that Microsoft made us cancel the PS5 version mid-development, while I and many other PlayStation fans have to, day in and day out, if you're on the internet paying attention to this stuff, see Xbox fans and many others just constantly coming out and just annihilating Sony for their practice when it comes to exclusivity.
Annihilating Sony? Are you fucking mad because people make fun of Sony? Sony, the market leader. Really? What, are you scared that we're going to hurt their feelings? Don't worry, they're going to be fine. They can just wipe their tears with an $800 bill that they find laying around. A couple of tweeters isn't going to ruin the day, no matter how hard I try.
PlayStation, though, ooh man, PlayStation will pay copious amounts of money to certain publishers who are willing to take that deal to make sure certain games don't release on Xbox. What is wrong with you, Sony? How can Sony do this? They're hurting the industry, not helping the industry.
Not just Xbox, but Nintendo and PC as well. Hell, I will even argue that the reliance in third-party exclusives have been hurting them as well. With Spider-Man 2 being the only exclusive from a first-party studio that are going to have this year, an IP that they don't even own, they ended up paying for exclusivity for games like Forspoken.
I know they're different. I know they are two different things. Sony doesn't own Final Fantasy or their studio.
I understand that.
But when we are talking about the end result,
The end result. How is it different?
I need to know, how is it different? The end result is exactly the same. The end result is a platform owner
Removing a game.
or making sure a game doesn't release, that was going to release, making sure it doesn't release on the rival platform. It
Is no different.
Because they own it. End of the story. You yourself understand that these are different methods. This is like complaining that you can play God of War in Nintendo or Xbox. It's their property. They can do whatever the fuck they want with it. Final Fantasy is not their property. If Sony buys Square Enix, at that point it will be their property. Destiny is now their property, or at the very least the studio is. But much like Microsoft after buying Minecraft, they decided to keep it third party, to the credit of both Bungie and Sony.
If Sony goes to a third-party publisher like Square Enix and they give them a choice, by the way,
A choice.
just making it known, Sony isn't buying and owning them. They're giving them a choice. Hey, we would like to strike an exclusivity deal. We'll help fund your game. We'll help optimize for the PS5, and we'll help market the game. We'll pay you for it. We'll give you money. We will exchange money. In turn, we get exclusivity. That's wrong. But Microsoft walking in, buying a studio, not giving them a choice, and straight up telling them, cancel your PS5 version. That's okay.
Choice! This motherfucker. ZeniMax had a choice. They could have declined the $7 billion Microsoft was offering. They didn't. And what studio in the state that Square Enix is going to decline any offer from the market leader? You're just mad that Microsoft is doing the same with a bigger wallet. That's it.
You're saying MBG, it is different. They don't give consumers a good deal through subscription services. Okay, I get that. So you're basically saying it is different because on a consumer level, I will get access to... Here's the thing, though, that I want you to keep in mind. B. Flesher, I want you to keep this in mind, because you're not wrong, but keep this in mind. You would have gotten that same deal on the Xbox Game Pass, even if the game wasn't canceled for PS5.
And you will have been able to play God of War Ragnarok if the game will have been on Xbox, and Nintendo, and PC. Much like Sony decided to keep their first-party exclusive to the console, Microsoft decided the same thing. If the conversation was about the third-party exclusive deals, like Stalkers 2 coming out at the end of the year, you would have had a point there. A hypocritical point, but a point nonetheless. Instead, you decided to get mad about the first-party exclusives.
This is it. This is my only question. Why did Microsoft cancel the PS5 version? Here we go.
Rambling, entertained.
Saying they don't have to support their rivals. Okay, I think you're correct. I think that is the correct answer. But let me ask you this.
That's my only question.
Why doesn't Microsoft want to support their rivals?
Why doesn't Sony want to support their rivals? Why doesn't Nintendo? They're competing with each other. Xbox and PlayStation are competing. Aside from any contractual obligations, neither company owes the other anything. PlayStation, much like Nintendo, much like Xbox, isn't entitled to get any support from the other corporations.
Do you see where I'm going? Do you see my only intention with talking about this is to just basically shut down the rhetoric for both Sony and Microsoft.
PlayStation fanboy attempted to shut down the rhetoric for Sony. Now, what you're trying to do is protect the corporation that you love so much from getting their fifis hurt. And doing a pretty bad job attitude. If that was your intention, you will be against all types of exclusives. Instead, you're here complaining that Microsoft made a first-party studio exclusive to the platform.
You're a fucking idiot.
You know, you read headlines like this. And yet you people still act like Sony is insane. Sony is fucking insane for being scared that Microsoft one day just might decide to make Call of Duty exclusive.
Once that 10-year contract's up, you have your word. Okay.
Call of Duty makes billions on PlayStation alone. A contract can always be reinstated. Sony had no contract for Redfall or Starfield like you mentioned at the beginning.
I just want to say that if this was an arms race, Microsoft was the one who really aggravated it a lot more.
Roll the fucking clip.
In 1993, we're dominated by Sega and Nintendo. They pretty much had it sewn up between them. So any new entrant into the market had to do something pretty dramatic and pretty special.
Sure, we had the system, sure, we had the hardware, but it doesn't mean anything unless you have games.
Sony does everything it can to round up third-party developers to support the PlayStation and is able to sign 250 in Japan alone. Sony also spends $48 million to purchase Psygnosis, the European developer behind Lemmings, and changes its name to Sony Interactive Entertainment.
Boy, that one has to sting you. This is literally how Sony started into the game. Microsoft isn't doing anything else than the same.
And you need to do as I say, not as I do.
The only difference between the two is that Microsoft has a bigger wallet. That's it.
Microsoft could have, and I want this to be known, Microsoft could have went to Bethesda and they could have said, can we strike an exclusivity deal for Redfall?
And instead they bought the entire publisher. What part of that you didn't understand? What you want is for Microsoft to do the same as Sony did with Square. You want them to pay for exclusivity deals, third-party exclusivity deals. You want Microsoft to get exclusive the Sony way.
It's also worth noting, most of these exclusivity deals on Sony's side are fucking timed. So I just want to put that out there as well. And the same thing for Microsoft. When Microsoft did, and they still kind of do timed exclusives with smaller games, a lot of the, they were timed. So it's yeah, it sucks, but you're still going to get them. You know what I mean?
Street Fighter V came out in 2016. It isn't on Xbox yet. On any of the Xbox. Death Stranding, despite being on PC and PC Game Pass, is still not on Xbox. What did that tell you about third-party exclusivity deals?
So it's like, which is it? Is it better knowing that you'll never get it? Like, is that better? Is that the better thing to know you'll never get it? Or would it just be better to just have it be timed?
Yeah, it's better to know that it's not coming to your preferred platform, so you can do whatever you need to do to play it. In this case, you can just get it on Game Pass in whatever platform you want, except PlayStation and Switch. Since Sony declined having Game Pass for PlayStation, that's not really Microsoft's fault now, is it? Much like Microsoft declining Spider-Man, and Sony taking advantage of it.
Again, I'm not saying Sony isn't guilty of all this. They are. Why do you think Sony hasn't been out here defending themselves? Sony isn't the one coming out here talking about how they want their games to be played on like all platforms. No, they're not. They make it pretty clear, like, yeah, we care about exclusives. Like, they're pretty important to us.
I'm sorry, which one is the corporation that's bitching and moaning about Microsoft making COD exclusive? It isn't Microsoft. And when has Microsoft said they don't care about exclusives? When Microsoft bought Bethesda, they straight up said to the consumers,
if we're an Xbox customer, the thing I want you to know is this is about delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists. And that's our goal. That's why we're doing this. That's the root of this partnership that we're building, and the creative capability we will be able to bring to market for our Xbox customers. It's going to be the best it's ever been for Xbox after we're done here.
The head of Xbox literally said that this is about making exclusives for Xbox customers. Not PlayStation, not Nintendo, Xbox. It was PlayStation fanboys like you who thought the games were going to come to PlayStation as well.
If you are okay with exclusivity, just admit it. If you are okay with publishers being bought and the industry consolidating, just admit it.
You're the ones that celebrate exclusives, not me.
The last thing I do in situations where Sony's looking pretty fucking dumb is defend them. But nope, not MBG. MBG just, I'm a Sony bootlicker and I'll defend anything they do. I was the one who was out here when Sony announced that they had to raise the price of the PS5. I said, this fucking sucks. You can't eat that cost, Sony?
Okay, we'll just roll it.
But we are diving into the first topic here, which is a significant update to Dying Light 2. We did cover this previously, but some of you may have missed it. And moving to the next topic, though, we have some new gameplay information on Forspoken. Moving on here, we're talking about a new game that was announced at Gamescom. Next up, we have some good news for PSVR 2. But we're moving on to the final topic here, and this is the big one. This is some pretty, I would say, I don't know if it's unexpected, but it certainly does feel that way because we just don't really see things like this happen. And it's the fact that Sony has increased the price of the PS5 in multiple regions, pretty much everywhere except the US. It's clever that Sony is looking to maintain profitability on its hardware, which already operates on razor-thin margins. Operating income for the PlayStation division was down 37% year over year in the firm's latest financial report, but it still turned a $397.3 million profit. I'm going to end this by, I know people are going to think I'm crazy here and a fanboy because they're going to say, how could you possibly end this on a good note? Well, if there's just at least one positive I can get from this, and this is the only positive, and this is just me trying to be overly optimistic, to me it all but confirms that Sony has a show coming up soon, because we've seen Sony operate this way before, where they're going to put out the really bad news, and then very quickly after they're going to give you the great news or the very good news that comes in the form of something we've been waiting for a long time.
Caught you in 20K HDR 1200 FPS Super Nintendo iOS 49 Blu-ray Ultraviolet Radiation 1080p PlayStation 5.
4 topics. 4. Before you started talking about the price increase, you still ended up in a high note. Really, a high note. Even in Twitter, you just said, oh, it's Jim Ryan being Jim Ryan. Oh, okay. You know what? I'm so fucking done with this. Like, share, and subscribe if you like the video. I'm out.
Rambling Entertain got us.
No.